Welcome to the first day of our second annual Law Week CLE series. If you're interested, the other two this week, tomorrow we also have a CLE on Indian law and tribal law research, and then on Wednesday there is another one about legislative research and legislative history, kind of as the legislature starts to wrap up its session. They're all free, they're 1 credit here, noon to 1, both days. So, and I will be doing both of those. Maylin Smith is going to join me tomorrow in case anybody has Indian law questions I can't answer. She'll be here for those. If you need CLE credits, there is a sign-in sheet up there. Make sure you sign before you leave, and I will email you certificates later this afternoon as well. And we'll also send that into the bar so you can get it signed up. Today, I'm going to introduce Ryan. He is our Fastcase trainer, and he has come to do today's training. So, for those, also one announcement for those of you who are also doing the trainers training. That will be in room 214. We're going to kind of take a few minutes to regroup after this and go up to room 214. So, for those of you. Yes.
You said we're going to email it to all?
Yes.
You don't have my
I'm sorry.
I don't think you have my email address.
I have everybody who's a bar member. Because I have the.
And you didn't ask for it on the paper.
Yeah, no, but I do. I have the bar director. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to let Ryan take over.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Ryan. Just flew in from DC yesterday, from Fastcase HQ. First thing I want to talk about is just how to log in. This is the State Bar of Montana website. I'm sure everybody's familiar with it. If you haven't been to Fastcase before, this is how you do it. There's a Fastcase link right here. Actually, before I get ahead of myself, can everybody hear me?
Can you shut up that light in the screen?
Oh yeah, can we get the lights?
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
Can I have your last name in case I have to call
Sure. Ryan Semmler. S-E-M-M-L-E-R.
And you're with the bar?
I'm with Fastcase. So if you call Fastcase tech support, there's a pretty reasonable chance I'll be answering the phone.
And where's that based?
We're in DC. So click on this Fastcase link. This is how you'll log in. You'll have to log in through the State Bar of Montana website every time you get in, and you'll be logging in with your State Bar of Montana login information. So you don't have a separate username, you don't have a separate password just for Fastcase. Okay, so I want to talk now about what Fastcase actually is. It's a database of primary law. So we're going to have case law, we have statutes, regulations, court rules, anything like that. If you're looking for treatises or other secondary sources, that's something that's not going to be on our database. If you have any questions about what specifically is and is not on the database, you can go to fastcase.com. And in this What is Fastcase section, the first thing is our scope of coverage page. So this is some detailed information about what exactly we do and don't have. So I'll get our state courts here.
Excuse me, I have a question about that when you say state courts.
Yes.
Do you have justice courts on there for the state of Montana?
Sorry, justice courts, the trial level courts, what are they?
Courts of limited jurisdiction, small claims court type, and the answer is no.
Okay. The answer is no. We'll have the appellate and the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And so we'll have all the Montana appellate and Supreme Court cases that are published going back to 1950. Anything before that's going to be a little outside of our scope of coverage. The unpublished decisions, if you do want those, we'll have those starting around 2010, 2011. And those are added to our database within usually 16 to 24 hours after they're released by the court. So it's updated really quickly. Alright, so different types of searches. If you want to search case law, this is the advanced case law search page. When you log in, this is what you're going to see. It says quick case law search. And the only two options here are all jurisdictions and Montana. Montana because it's the most recent jurisdiction that I searched in. If you want more options than that, there's a button right here that says switch to advanced case law search. What I can also do is go to the search drop-down menu and hit search cases. And the reason I'm pointing that one out is because that search menu will be on any page that you're ever on Fastcase. Okay, so hit search cases, and here I am on the advanced case law search. So here are the three search types. I'm going to start with keyword. This is a Boolean search. You might know it as a terms and connectors. You might know it as a few different things. But this is really the best way to get results on Fastcase. This is the one that will let you be the most exact, most precise, and really get the results you need. The other two options are natural language, which is really just what it sounds like. You put in a question in plain English, it'll do the best it can. This is kind of similar to what you'd see on Google. And there's citation lookup, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. Let's look at keyword search. Are most people here pretty familiar with Boolean searching, at least on a basic level? Okay, that's good. You'll see beneath the search box, it says show search tips. And all these search tips down here, these are all showing you what the Boolean search operators are on Fastcase. And it'll show you the syntax, it'll show you how it's used, and it'll give you an example of it in use, and it'll say what exactly it does. I'll go over those a little more in detail later on. But when you're running a search, the first thing you have to do before you even put in a search is select jurisdiction. You'll see my recently searched jurisdictions. I've got Montana Supreme Court, but if I want something else, I want to search all federal appellate cases. I can do that. All state courts, all district courts, or I can get more specific. This one says individual jurisdictions. That'll let me pick from all of these state courts. I can pick as many or as few as I want. Mix and match it however you want. If I decide I don't just want state courts, I want Montana cases and I want Montana Federal District Court cases, I can do that. Really, there's no limit to how you can, I guess, pick your jurisdictions. And beneath that, if I want to narrow it down even further, there are more search options down here, so I can change the date that I'm searching for. By default, it's going to be all dates, no limits. But if I know that the law changed on a specific date, then I can only look for cases after that specific date. I'll change the start date from 1925 and before to anything I needed to. Okay. I'm running a quick search in just Montana for the word energy. So all cases in Montana that contain the word energy are going to show up here. So this is the search results page that you're going to get. And for all you Google users, you're familiar with this. This is nothing too fancy here. Every result on here is a result that matches your search. A few things to point out here. On the left side, where it says relevance, that's how it's going to be sorted automatically. First one is 100%, and it drops down from there. It figures out relevance by how many times your search terms come up in that case. So a case that mentions the word energy a lot is going to be probably pretty relevant. It's going to come up straight to the top.
How many cases do you have on there for energy?
There are 267.
Thanks.
Yep.
Is it the search term or search string?
I guess I would use search string if I'm using a bunch of terms together.
So we're all into
Right.
it. How many times is your string?
Right, that's exactly right.
So you could put in like energy and water,
Mhm.
then it would narrow that way.
It would, yes. If I want to tweak that search, I'm going to the same search menu that I hit before, and the very first thing is modify search. And you'll see my original search comes right up. If I wanted to change it to energy and water, we'll run the same search again. Instead of 267 results, I guess it's going to take a second, but it'll narrow down that list. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my search results page. So like I said, they're sorted by relevance by default, but there are other ways you can sort it. There's also the decision date column right here, and you'll see it'll give you right on this page when each of these cases was decided. If I want to see what the recent changes in the law are, I can click on decision date, and now it's going to resort this whole list. So instead of the most relevant one coming to the top, the most recent one is going to come to the top. So we've got something as of March 17th, 2015. So it's pretty up to date. This law is changing. So all these case headers, they're all clickable, they're all sortable. There's also one that says case. I can click on that and it would sort alphabetically by case name. I don't know why you'd want to do it, but it's there if you need it. And on the right side, there's the authority check section. So I'm going to talk in more detail about what authority check is later, but quick overview. Authority check is the Fastcase system for citation analysis. This is how many times each of these cases has been cited by later cases. There's a column for these results and one for entire database. You click on entire database, and so that's going to resort this list again so that the case that's been cited the most times comes straight to the top. So we've got Carbon County v. Union Reserve Coal Company. So this might not be the most relevant according to how many times my search results come up, or excuse me, my search terms come up in this case. But I know this is an important one. This is one that's been cited 207 times. The column to the left of that says these results. So whereas the entire database column shows you how many times in total this case has been cited, these results says of those 207 later citations, how many of those also appear in my search results? So how many of those cases are also talking about energy? And out of the 207 cases that cite this case, only 5 of them actually are. So this is a pretty important case, but it's probably not important in the area of law that I'm actually looking for. All those later citations are probably for another point of law. If I'm looking for a case that's important in the area of law that I'm looking for, I can sort by these results. And so now I can see that a different case comes up. I've got Buckman v. Montana, Montana Deaconess Hospital. This has been cited 14 times by cases that talk about energy. So this is probably a little bit more relevant. Alright, so I'm just going to click on the name of that case and I'm going to open it up. Might take a minute depending on your internet connection. Alright, this comes up. The full text of the case is right here. Let's scroll through that as much as I want. Also on this page, the left side are my other search results. So, sorted by citations, the way I had it on the search results page, that's how they're sorted here. So if I decide this is not the case I want, and I want to see a different one, I don't have to go back to the search results page. I can just click right here and go to the number 2 case on my list. You'll also see that whenever the word energy comes up, which was my search term, it's highlighted. So I can just scroll through here, and I can naturally see which is the most important paragraph, what's most relevant to what I'm looking for. Okay, so there are a few things on this page that I want to point out. First of all, on the top left, it says authority check. So just like we have those authority check numbers on the search results page, we also have them on the actual case page itself. So if I read through this case and I decide I like it, I want to decide if this case is still good law, is this something I can actually use? I can figure that out, and I can do that by going to the authority check section and click on the number by entire database. In this case, it's 18. And this is going to bring up a new page. It's going to show me all the 18 cases that cite my case. So, it's not exactly like Shepard's, it's not exactly like KeyCite, but it's going to show me what the later cited cases are, and it's going to give me an idea of how those cases have treated my case. So here you see a list, sort of chronologically, of what these later cited cases are. It was most recently cited in 2012. And underneath each of these case names is the relevant paragraph. It's the paragraph text that actually talks about my case. So I can see just at a glance what it's saying about my case. How's it treating my case? And of course, if I want to see in more detail what it's saying, I can click on the case name to open it up.
So to find out if my case is still good law, do I have to go through each one of those 18 listed and look at each paragraph that highlights it?
Well, this is not something exactly like Shepard's. It's not editorial. We don't have people reading through the cases and deciding what every case says about it. If we do recognize negative treatment, and it would all be automatic and algorithmic, we'll put a red flag by it. But we're not going to guarantee that we're going to catch all that negative treatment, so it's probably still best to look through at least the most recent citing cases. Up at the top of this authority check page is the interactive timeline. And this is really just a different way of looking at all of these citing cases. Each one of these circles here represents a case. The bigger a circle is, the more times that case has been cited. So you can see just at a glance, has it been cited by some pretty influential cases? In this case, yes, it has. And going vertically, this is the court level. So down at the bottom are the state courts, and it looks like this has been cited by some federal district courts, too. You can see that at this top row here. The x-axis here is time. Farther to the right it is, the more recent it is. And so you see this vertical line here at the year 1999. This case was decided in 1999. So everything to the right of that dotted line there is a later case that's citing my case. Everything to the left of that dotted line is an earlier case that's cited within mine, within this Western Energy case. And anytime I want to read that, I just click on the circle, it opens right up. So that's a pretty cool thing. It's a good way to look at all the cases without seeing them in a list. So you can visualize it just at a glance and see what it's doing. While we're talking about that, I'm going to go to the results menu here and view results, and that's going to take me back to my search results page. Okay, so this is familiar. This is what I was saying before. Cases in a list. There's only so much I can see in a list. I can also go to the interactive timeline tab here on this page, and you see there are those two tabs at the top that say results and interactive timeline. I I click on interactive timeline. It's going to give me the same list of search results, but in the same format we just saw. All 267 cases that mention energy right here on this plot. So I can see at a glance what are the most recent ones, what are the most relevant ones, what are the most influential ones. So I'm looking for some. Sure.
You're the question askers.
That's good, good.
What's the difference between the yellow ones and the tan ones?
Okay, that's a good question. The size of the circle represents how many times it's been cited by later cases. That's the gray circle around the outside. The yellow circle on the inside is these results authority check number. How many times it's been cited by later cases in these results. We're on the search results page. We are looking at those two columns of numbers. The column on the left, these results, is the yellow circle on the inside.
Ah,
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
How do you determine what's most influential?
Just how many times it's been cited by later cases.
Okay, so it's not a qualitative analysis.
Right. The vertical axis here is the relevant score. So if you want to see what the algorithm thinks is the most relevant case, you're going to look up high on the graph.
So it's purely quantitative.
Right, right. And nothing about this is editorial in any way. So in general, you can see that I'm going to look for a case with a bigger circle, hopefully a bigger yellow circle too, farther to the right and high on my list. So at a glance, I know this is a case I want to see. This is probably a case I want to see. And maybe these right here. And those are things that are just kind of hard to pick out when you're looking at a list of cases. So this is an easier way. This lets you pick out, without spending too much time, where you need to be focusing your energy.
So excuse me, so if you click on one of those yellow or dots, does the case come up then?
It does, it does.
Okay.
So it gives a little summary.
Oh,
And I
okay.
click on the name of the case. And here it is.
Can you do a party search and just come up with a case?
Oh yeah, yeah. I would do that just as keywords. Keywords would just be the party names. Okay, so that's the authority check report. There are also some other things in that light gray bar going across the top here. If I decide this is a case that I want to keep, I can download it and print it off later if I want to, using that print/save button at the top. If I hit that, that'll take me right here, and it'll give me some options. When I download this, do I want my search terms highlighted, yes or no? Do I want this in 2 columns? And do I want this in Microsoft Word? I can have it in PDF. If you use WordPerfect, we got DOC and RTF formats, which both work for that. Hit print save, and it downloads.
To, oh, okay.
Here's my case in Microsoft Word. So any edits I want to make to the format, any notes I want to make, I can. If I want to print off, I can do it right here.
Is that searchable?
Yes it is. Hit Control F and Microsoft Word will let you search through it.
So what do you call the y-axis again?
On the timeline, that was relevance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so similar to that print/save button at the top is the print queue. I do want to download this case. I do want to print it off later, but I'm going to be doing a lot more research. I don't want to have to go into each case individually and print it off separately. So I'm going to click on this button right beneath print save that says add to my print queue. And it doesn't look like much happened. But if I go to the print menu at the very top in the dark bar, view print queue, Puget Sound Energy. There it is. And I can add as many cases as I need to. And whenever I decide I'm done, I can hit print save button once, and they all download at once. If I hit combine here, I can take up to 50 cases or other documents, whatever it is you're researching, And all of those will download into one single document. So it'll just be one long Word file with 50 cases in it. But it can save you a lot of time instead of printing them all off separately.
Suppose you just want to have them in file.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it'll really just download onto your computer and you can print off if you need to. Now, next to this case, and it might be a little hard to see here, there's a yellow printer icon with a minus sign on it. This is the print queue icon, and anytime there's a list of documents, you're going to see this icon here. If you click on the minus sign, it'll take it away from your print queue. Now it's gone.
Can you print individual pages?
After you download it, yes, you can. That's just a feature of Microsoft Word. So I'm going to go back to my search results. Okay, we've seen this a few times before, but now I'm going to point out on the left side, there are those yellow printer icons, and every one of them has a plus sign on it. So, those are the print queue icons. So now, if I decide I want to print these cases off, I don't even have to open them up before I do that. I'll just click on this plus sign, add it to my print queue. I'll add this one to my print queue, and add this one to my print queue. And without opening a single case, I can download them all. Okay. Even if I don't want to download a case, and I don't want to print it off later or anything like that, there's this button that says Add to My Favorites, which I'll click now. Again, doesn't look like much happened, but I can always go to My Library, go to Favorite Documents, and here's that Buckman case I just added. This is organizable by folder too. I can add a new folder, so if you have several matters going at once, you can add all these documents into your favorites, group them by which case you're working on, and you'll be able to do it that way.
How long are those kept?
Indefinitely. Until you take them off. Okay, last thing I want to point out here is this email button. If I wanted to download a case and send it to somebody as an email attachment, I can do that by downloading the case with the Print Save button. Easier way is just hitting email. Takes you right here. By default, it's going to be your own email address, but you can put in anybody's. They don't have to be a Fastcase subscriber or anything like that. Put in email, and the text of the case will show up in the body of the email. So no attachments, just plain text, case file to your email.
Can you add like a note or something to that? Or?
No, not for that. That's just bare bones.
Does the entire case get transmitted, or can you just transmit the relevant paragraph?
The entire case would be. If you want to send a paragraph, I'd recommend just highlighting it, copying and pasting into an email. And speaking of copying and pasting, okay, I want to send this paragraph here that's talking about the Trustee v. Consolidated Freightways case. Whenever I highlight a section of text, this little thing will come up. It says copy document text. So at a glance I can copy the text, and that's fine. Or I can hit copy with citation. And so now if I want to just paste this in my brief, I can do that. And it'll have the citation at the end of that section I just copied.
That preserves the hot link too, doesn't it?
Would not, no.
It doesn't, okay.
No. Okay, I'm going to modify my search now, again by going to the search menu and hitting modify search. So that was all keyword search. I'm going to hit citation lookup now. In citation lookup, I'm just pasting in that paragraph that I just copied. You'll see it has the text up in the first 2 lines. I did hit copy with citation, so the bottom line is the citation. I don't want to include that in my search, so I'm just going to get rid of that. But this is the paragraph I just copied. I have citation lookup. This is the paragraph talking about trustee v. consolidated freightways. So, this is what comes up. Trustee v. consolidated freightways. The citation lookup will let you paste in a section of text, and any case that it's talking about in that section of text, it'll show you in your search results.
How did you copy again? You just highlighted it, then the copy immediately came up?
Exactly, yeah, it's just automatic. Alright, I'm going to go into Boolean searching in a little bit more detail now. Before I do, does anybody have any questions about anything so far?
So within the case itself,
Yeah,
are there page citations?
there are. Yes, there are. You'll see this is page 1086 of Pacific Second and page 149 of the Montana Reporter. So this is the Montana page numbers right there.
Out of curiosity, that raise an issue with the publisher?
Oh, no, no. I'm not sure why. I don't know how that works, but no, doesn't seem to be an issue. Okay. I mentioned earlier on the advanced case law search page, you get to a list of Boolean search operators. This is that list, and I'll go over them in more detail here. The first one is the AND operator. So if I search for libel and damages, then in this Venn diagram, it's only going to bring back cases that are in that overlapping section of the Venn diagram. It's only going to bring back cases that mention both. You can spell it out A-N-D. Some people use the ampersand. If you separate 2 words just by a space, it works out exactly the same way. Libel, space, damages, you get the same thing. Or, on the other hand, and it does not have to be capitalized, by the way. Just lowercase or would do the same thing. But prenuptial or premarital. If that's the search I run, then I'm going to get results in that whole Venn diagram. As long as it contains at least one of those 2 terms, that case is going to be in my search results. So you'll see it's a synonym here. That's really a time where this gets used a lot. Anytime you're not sure which term a court's actually going to use in the text of the opinion, or is good, just to cover your bases no matter which way they go. It's not mentioned on this slide, but anytime you have or terms like this, it's always best to put those terms in parentheses. So I would put an open paren, prenuptial or premarital, close paren. And that really just helps the search engine figure out what exactly it is you mean. Alright, moving on to not. This one doesn't get used very often, but it can be pretty helpful when you do. The example here is negligence, not criminal. And if I search negligence, not criminal, I'm going to get all the cases that mention the word negligence, except for any case that includes the word criminal at all. And so this is something you have to be careful of. If it's talking about negligence in the very first sentence, and the word criminal comes up in the very last sentence, those things have nothing to do with each other. But that case is still going to be filtered out of my results just because it contains that word criminal.
Brian,
Yes?
what if you wanted to search crime and criminal? Is there a way to do that?
There is. That's a good question. The root expander. Now this is an asterisk or an exclamation point, doesn't matter. But if you put the root expander on the end of any string of letters, it's going to bring back all the words that start with that string of letters. So the example here, prosecute without the E, P-R-O-S-E-C-U-T asterisk. So that's going to include prosecutor, prosecution, prosecutors, prosecutorial. If I put C-R-I-M asterisk, I get crime, criminal, crimes.
No, you wouldn't get criminal.
C-R-I-M asterisk without an E.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. The proximity operator. This is one I use a lot.
Hold on.
Oh yeah.
So I think everybody in the room used using the exclamation point. as
Oh,
the
exclamation
root
point.
expander. Huh?
They're interchangeable. Use either one. Yeah, if you use, yeah, it says asterisk or exclamation point. Either one you use, it'll work exactly the same.
Okay, so there's no root expander for one letter.
There is.
There is.
That's the question mark.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the proximity operator real quick. I put custody /5. Some people will be used to having W/5. You can do that too. It works out the same. But custody /5 interrogation. That's going to show me all the cases that have the word custody within 5 words of interrogation.
Plus or minus.
Yeah, order does not matter.
And if you put an exclamation or asterisk after custod, you'd get custodial also.
You would. That's right.
Is there, can you do within sentence or within paragraph?
No, we don't have that. So it has to be a number. Okay, so just some examples. In custody interrogation of a suspect, unless in custody police interrogation is, anything like that. So this is a good alternative to the and operator. I might have had custody and interrogation. Those terms might not have been close to each other, so they might not have been in the context that I'm looking for. If I know that they're within each other, they're probably referring to each other in some way. The single letter wildcard, we'll touch on this a little bit. That question mark will take the place of one and only one letter. So, if I spell the word received, R-E-C, question mark, V-E-D, each one of those question marks takes the place of one letter, and I get results that spell received either way. And there are cases that have it spelled wrong, more than you would think. Another time this might come up, there's a lot of older cases talking about marijuana. I spell marijuana with an H instead of a J. If you don't know how a court's going to spell it, just put in a question mark. Be safe and cover your bases. The quotation marks. If I put in the phrase in quotation marks, then it's only going to bring back that case if that phrase shows up in the text of the case exactly as I had it typed. If I put notice of appeal in quotes, then I'm going to get a case that matches these first two. Defendant timely filed her notice of appeal. One must file notice of appeal. If the court says defendant erroneously filed 2 notices of appeal, that case is not going to show up in my results. It has to be exactly what's inside those quotation marks. So this is really useful if you have something that you know is going to be used. Fifth Amendment. There really aren't a lot of variations that there could be for that. Put that in quotation marks, you'll be in good shape. Something like this, where it might be notices of appeal, there might be variations. You'd probably be safer using proximity operator and the root expander. I would put notice with an asterisk or an exclamation point within 2 words of appeal. That way, really, no matter what variation the court uses, no matter how they word that, I'm going to be covered.
Can you combine commands like using the asterisk within the quotation mark, notice of appeal?
You can combine them in general, but no operators will work inside quotation marks.
Okay.
parentheses. The order of operations that the search engine uses, and if you're math people, you remember the order of operations. Whatever happens inside the parentheses is what it handles first. So this is a good way of really grouping things together and telling it what you're really looking for. I mentioned earlier that if you have or terms, it's always best to put those or terms in parentheses. And that's the example here. The example search is car or vehicle and getaway. So obviously what I'm looking for is the word getaway and either car or vehicle. And that's kind of what's going on with this Venn diagram here. But that's not what's actually happening. If I don't have the parentheses the way if I don't have parentheses around car or vehicle the way I should, then it's going to be reading it like this, as if you had parentheses around vehicle and getaway. Because it's always going to handle and before it handles or. So it's going to say vehicle and getaway or car. So a case is going to come back in my search results if it has the word vehicle and the word getaway. And it's also going to come back in my search results if it just has the word car, which is obviously not what I'm looking for. I put parentheses around car or vehicle, put those parentheses around my or terms, and I'm going to get the results I want. Alright. That's about it for the Boolean searching. Does anybody have any questions about?
Yeah, I do. I have trouble deciding the proximity search, the within 2 words, 10 words.
Yeah.
And I find I'm spending way too much time thinking about, do I put in 2, do I put in 10?
Yeah.
Is there like a default you can go to, or is there a rule that I could apply that's going to get
More
me?
art than science.
Okay.
It's really just kind of imagine in your head how a court might be discussing this,
Yeah.
how they might be wording it.
Usually it's in a sentence. That's how I like to think about it. But it could be a short
Right.
sentence, could be a long sentence.
You're right, you're right.
So are you better off to to widen that range there?
That's
then?
what I would do. At first, I would use a larger number. If it turns out there are too many results and I need to make it more specific, you can always make that number smaller. Okay, that's about it for case law searching. I'm going to touch on statutes real quick.
Let me ask one,
Oh, sure.
just one case law. Is there a way to do, you've done your search of water or energy and water, say,
Okay.
and then you want to see the word hydroelectric, electric. Is there a way to, like in Westlot's locate? Is there
Yes.
a way to find another word within your search results?
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding your question. You don't want to run another search narrowing it down to include hydroelectric. You want to see, in this case that I'm looking for, find that word on the page.
I want to find the word hydroelectric in the search results we got for water and energy, say.
Okay.
So there were 17 results or whatever for water and energy. Is there a way to search within those results for another word?
There is. Okay, so these are my 67 cases for water and energy. And this orange button at the top here says search within. If I click on that, then I get a new search box. It says your original search, energy and water. I can add in a new term. I'm going to use hydroelectric.
Okay.
And it's going to narrow down my search results.
Or you could say within, could you start it out with a within, well, not with energy or water, I mean, but say it was energy,
Okay.
and you want to do hydroelectric, could you do, instead of just putting hydroelectric, could you do within 50 of hydroelectric?
What I would do for that is go to the search menu at the top and hit modify search.
Okay.
So now I can have energy and water is within 50 of...
But now you have a new search. Is your old search saved in a history or something, so you could go back to the full results?
It is. So I'll run a new search just to see what happens. And anytime I want to go back to my excuse me, anytime I want to get back to my search history, I can go back to this home page. So the start menu at the top, and my research home. And this is the quick case law search page that we saw earlier. But beneath that search box is a list of my last 10 searches. So you see I've got energy and water within 50 of hydroelectric, but I also have energy and water. I also have just energy.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, statutes real quick. So a lot about searching statutes is going to work out pretty much the same as case law. This is the search statutes page. It looks pretty much just like the advanced case law search page. If I scroll down here, I can see all my states. I'll select Montana here. And I've got a keyword search, I've got natural language search, and I've got citation lookup. Same kind of thing we were seeing earlier. I'm going to put in the keyword, and energy has been working out pretty well for us. So I'll do that. Alright, and I've got 291 statute sections that talk about energy. Again, sorted by relevance. Again, notice the print queue icons along the left side. Okay, again, just like case law, my search terms are highlighted. My other search results are along the left side. But if I want to see this section in context, I don't just want to see this section by itself. On statutes, there's another option here for outline view. So instead of seeing my other search results on the left, I click on outline view. And now I'm seeing what part this is. I'm seeing all the surrounding sections next to it. So just like I'm flipping through a book, I can go to the part I want, the chapter I want. I can jump to the next section that hasn't been repealed. And see it all that way.
Does your library include annotations?
We do, yes. Yeah. They're all algorithmically done. So they're not editorial. I'm sorry?
The annotations?
The annotations are, yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're all just automatically included. Alright, so up at the top, I can get to that outline view without even running a search to begin with. There's a tab for search and a tab for browse. I click on browse. Then I can just browse through all the statutes I want. I can go straight to Montana. Click on the plus sign to expand a section. Yes, I want the Montana code. Yes, I want the latest edition. And I can go as far in as I need to. Click on the plus sign, it'll expand that section. If you click on the minus sign, it'll bring it back in. But if I click on the title here, and I'm going to click on Part 1, General Provisions of this Illegal Discrimination chapter. Alright, so now on the right side, it's showing me every individual section that's in this part. And there's a print queue icon next to each of them. Let's see if I can find a longer section. Alright, print queue icon next to each. I can go through one by one, add them to my print queue, which can take a while. Or I can click on this plus sign next to part 3, click on that once, add the whole thing to my queue. So if you go to print off a whole, or just download a whole chapter, a whole part, a whole section, you can do that using the print queue. View a print queue the same way as you would with cases, and they're all listed right here. Run a new search. It's time for murder or homicide. All right, beneath the statute section, for this murder or homicide statute, is the annotation section. So I don't need to go to a separate page. There's nothing extra I need to click. I just find the statute section I need and scroll down to the bottom. Automatically included are all the later citing cases.
How is it decided what goes into the list? Is it from the Montana Code annotations, or is it?
No, we just scan through all the cases on our database and figure out which statutes they're citing. So by default, they're going to sort by authority check results. So the most influential, the most seminal cases are going to come up to the top. We got a case here at the top that's been cited a couple hundred times. So that's the first one you see. You can, of course, cite these like you would on a normal case law search. You can add these to your print queue. And it's not going to cut out any results here. If there are 1,000 cases citing the statute, it's going to show you 1,000 cases.
Another question.
Yes.
So when a statute changes citation from one section to another, pick up those previous annotations?
That's something I'm not sure about, actually. I have to find that out.
But it will show the history.
It'll show the legislative history in the statute, though, just like it does in the code.
Well, it'll show the enactment history.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yes, it'll show you when it's been amended, when all that.
But sometimes it's renumbered, that's the question.
True.
That would be the problem. Okay, and go back to the main search statutes page. Just a couple other things I want to point out. If I want to look through older editions, I'll click on archive editions here. And our statutes don't go back very far. But if you want to look up what the statutes were just a few years ago, this is how you would do it. It's the archive editions section at the very bottom.
So if you have a statute that has been not only changed but renumbered, would you, well, what I want to know is if we get into a certain word that brings up more than one statute, no, other than okay, legislatures, as other statutes.
Okay.
Okay, can we get access to an amended about first statute and the previous one, so we can see kind of what happened?
In the previous version?
And
Yes, you can do that using this archive editions thing. It's at the bottom of the search statutes page. There's a button that says archived editions. And so all the older editions that we have on our database, they'll be right there. And again, they don't go back very far. If you need something older than 2007, it won't be on our database. But anything more recent than that, you'll be able to search them this way. And if you're browsing through the statutes, you can look through the older editions that way too. Okay, I mentioned at the very beginning that it's just a primary law database and that we don't have secondary sources like law reviews. And that's true for the most part. Just recently though, we got a partnership with Hein Online. And so if you're a subscriber to Hein Online, you can get those search results by just searching through those law reviews. I just went to the search menu and hit search Hein Online law reviews. And I'll be able to search through all of their editions that way. There are hundreds. Their database is pretty amazing. You'll search through all of those with the Hein subscription. Also though, I'm going to go back to this energy case law search I just ran earlier. On the very right side where it says suggested results, these suggested results are Hein Online law reviews. So without running a separate search for law review articles, it's going to show me articles that are relevant to the case law I'm searching for. And that'll be on the statutes search page too. But I ran a search in Montana for the word energy. So right at the very top, I'm getting a law review article for energy in the executive from the Montana Law Review. And I'm seeing a different article from Montana Law Review for regulations of interconnected electric utilities.
How are the links made?
We just figure out which ones are most relevant to the search you just ran.
And what was the name of the, how do you access that right-hand column again? Oh, suggested results?
It's suggested results.
What's the algorithm that determines what the most relevant? Is it just
Um,
Montana and the wood?
It'll say which jurisdiction you're looking in. I was looking for Montana cases, so it's going to look for Montana law reviews. I searched for energy, so it's looking for law review articles that talk about energy.
Okay, so if another law review not in Montana cites two particular cases, will it show up on the right-hand column?
I'm not sure about that either.
So can we access the article itself then?
Well, it does take a subscription. Try to open one of these up. I think it's like $59 a month or something like that. So if you do decide you want to subscribe, that's how you would do it. So that's not included in your bar membership. Okay. Also, I'm not going to go into these individually, but on the search menu, this is where you'd also get search regulations, constitutions, court rules, attorney general opinions, anything like that. They all just work the same way as the statutes and the case law that you already searched. I think that's just about my time. Does anybody have any? Yeah.
Do you have an outline for this presentation?
We do, and I don't know if you could email that to them, but you go to fastcase.com/webinars if you want to download this on your own. There's this handouts section. It's fastcase.com/webinars. Click on Intro to Legal Research, and all my well, the slides for the presentation will be there.
Well, I didn't hear the last part of that.
Oh, sure, yes.
Fastcase.com/webinars.
Yes. Click on the handouts section for Intro to Legal Research, and it'll have the slides for this presentation.
I will include that link in the email when I send your certificates.
Thank you.
So, are those available all the time? So, I mean, if
They
you go
are.
to fastcase.com, we can just look and see if there's something that covers whatever we're looking for?
Oh yeah, anytime. If you go to the help and training section on fastcase.com, it's up at the very top in the dark gray bar. There's that webinars link where we just were. There are also video tutorials. There are user guides and other documentation like that. For getting started, searching documents, viewing documents, anything you need, it's all right here. And we're also open 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Give us a call, send us an email. Yeah, Monday through Friday. We're here to help.
Is Fastcase going to expand to editorial content, or?
We don't have any plans to. No. We don't have the resources for like an army of lawyers going through cases like Lexis and West have. So we do things quicker. We do them algorithmically whenever we can. All right. Well, looks like that's it for now. I'm going to be sticking around for a while if you have any questions. But thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.